Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it, and I'm very excited about having this presentation. I think that's great. Reports?
Yes,
Oh, okay. I have known Hadley for a few years now, and it's been wonderful to work with you.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm very pleased to give you your graduation course. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I can't wait for your presentation. Thanks.
All right, I guess we can kind of get into it. My presentation is on stopping the building and use of AI data centers. Now, I don't necessarily think that we should stop the use of them completely. I do think AI has a place and a time to be used, but I also think that the consequences of using data centers at the rate that we do far outweigh the benefits. So these are kind of my main points that I'm going to get into. Is it ethical? How do data centers affect the environment? Does AI affect cognition and human interaction? Is it possible to avoid AI? And then possible solutions to reduce the use of AI or kind of reduce their impacts. So first, we have to kind of understand what artificial intelligence is. These are guidelines given to us. I found them on the NASA website, but they're from the National Defense Act of 2019. So this is kind of how a layman would distinguish what is AI versus, I don't know, what is human-made or like some other technological thing. So AI is an artificial system. It performs tasks under varying unpredictable circumstances with significant human oversight, and it can learn from experience and improve performance when exposed to data sets. It's developed in computer software, physical hardware, or other contexts to solve tasks requiring human-like perception, cognition, planning, learning, communication, or physical action. It's designed to think or act like a human, including cognitive architectures and neural networks. It's a set of techniques, including machine learning, that's designed to approximate a cognitive task. And then it's designed to act rationally, including intelligent software or an embodied robot that achieves goals using perception, planning, reasoning, learning, communication, decision-making, and acting. So these are kind of the guidelines that can help us decide is something artificial intelligence or not. So is AI ethical? So AI cannot create anything new. Because it needs an input set of data or a photo or whatever, some kind of input, it cannot create anything new. It can create you a graph based on your data, or it can edit the photo that you put into it, but I really want to like hammer home, it does not create something new. So when people use AI, they can use it for, I mean, so many things. You can use it for photo editing or homework, so many things. And there's a difference between using AI on your homework to like find a source or create an outline or create a study guide based on the data that you put into it versus using it to create your entire project or your assignment, presentation, whatever it may be. And I would actually say that using it to create your entire project is akin to plagiarism because it's taking data from this person and this person and this person and this person and putting it all together to form something new, but it's all somebody else's work. And when you just take what ChatGPT gives you and paste it into a document and turn it into your professor, there's nothing you about that project. You didn't think to put all the data together because you can use it to find those sources and then put it together yourself and kind of think about what you're writing and what you're typing. But when you just copy and paste it, there's nothing human or personal or you about that project. I would consider that plagiarism. Some people might not. Some people think it's just using your resources. It depends on your perspective, but I see it as plagiarism. So. And the same thing I feel like is for AI art. AI art is just taking an accumulation and amalgamation of other people's work and making something new, which again, it doesn't create anything new. It just learns from the art styles of these people that you're taking from and creates you something just kind of devoid of creativity. You're not creating that thing, you're just stealing from somebody else. And there's nothing that can stop you from taking like a trademarked piece of art or a trademarked writing, trademarked poem, whatever, and sticking it into ChatGPT and changing it a little bit and calling it your own. Even though that thing is trademarked, you're trying to pass it off as something new, and you're not. Another part of like the ethicalness of AI is it can generate false images. I can take a picture of Dr. Lueders, for example, and put it into ChatGPT and create a photo that's completely not real. Dr. Lueders never took that photo, and I could make it look like she's doing something that she would never do. Sorry. And even though I know Dr. Lueders would never do that, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, that is really, ugh. Oh my goodness. Even though I know that that's something that Dr. Lueders wouldn't do, I can make it look like she did or say something with AI videos. I am so sorry. Okay, AI, in order to use AI, there are a ton of servers that sit in a warehouse. And these warehouses are called data centers. Now these data centers require a lot of energy and a lot of water because they use fresh water to cool down all of these servers. Now, there's only 3% of our Earth's water is fresh water. And we need that for drinking, feeding crops, animals also drink water, not just us. And so using fresh water in these data centers takes it away from the communities where these data centers are hosted. And so these communities lose water pressure. They have to buy their water bottles from the store. They can't just like go to their sink and get water from the tap because it's a gerbil. Because the data centers in their community are just using all of the fresh water. Now, they can't use salt water because the salt would make its way into all the little pieces. I'm so sorry, you guys.
You're fine, Hadley. Take a minute if you need it.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Make its way into all the little pieces of the technology and slowly corrode those
Servers.
Yes, thank you. Slowly corrode those servers, and they would need far more maintenance if they used salt water versus fresh water, which is why they use the fresh water. But again, it's taking away from the surrounding communities. The same can be said for their energy use. They use so much energy to keep the lights on, to keep all these servers working, and so much so that 26% of Virginia's total electrical supply of 2024 was used in data centers. A large portion of other states' energy is also used by data centers. Iowa, Oregon, North Dakota, Nebraska, about 15% of electrical energy for 2024 was used by data centers. And there are currently 36 facilities in the state of Nebraska, actually, which feels like a lot. So this is kind of what those data centers look like. These are all these like servers, and you can't really see, but there are so many tiny little pieces of technology in each of these things. that they just can't use something like salt water, which is more abundant, to cool these systems down. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna cough again. Seriously, so sorry.
Right.
Effects on cognition and human interaction. So the data on this is kind of inconclusive just because AI is newer. It's not been around forever and ever and ever. And so it's hard to say definitively if there is an impact on cognition and human interaction. But there was an MIT study done, and they had people write 2 essays. So the first essay, people would write it using the internet and specifically ChatGPT as the AI. And they put electrodes on their heads to measure their brain activity and their brain waves. So when writing the first essay with the internet and ChatGPT, they had less brain activity than when they wrote an essay using no internet at all. Just like books, their own thoughts and feelings are being poured into this essay. But the data on that study is also kind of inconclusive because they did it a second time. And the second time, when they wrote their second essays, the people had more, sorry, apologies. They switched it. The second time they did the study, they switched it. So first they wrote no internet at all, using their own brains and whatever physical sources they had. And then the second time they wrote the essay, they used ChatGPT. And when they did the study the second time, their brain activity was heightened when using ChatGPT. So it's hard to say if it actually affects cognition. And part of the conclusion of that study was that they think it's more important when you introduce AI in the internet versus how often. It's more about when versus how often you're doing it. But people also speculate, and again, can't prove this because AI is so new, but speculate that there will be a willingness reduction when we use AI. There will be a reduction of willingness to think on your own volition when it's easier to type in and get an answer using something like ChatGPT. And then in terms of human interaction, they have seen a spike in people turning to what they have coined as AI companions when they are lonely. So people are turning to AI to talk to about their day, talk to about their problems, because they feel like they have no real person to turn to. But then when they turn to AI, they're not going out into the world to find a real person to talk to. And so it creates this, what they're calling a cycle of loneliness. And you can see how that would kind of go in a circle. You never go out and find someone to talk to, so then you talk to AI more and more, and you develop this connection with AI, even though AI does not have thoughts and feelings of its own because it's not a person. AI avoidance. Is it possible to avoid AI? I think it's tough to say. I can make the decision every day not to use ChatGPT or some other AI system like Sora or Google Gemini, whatever it may be. I can make that conscious decision every day, but there are systems of AI that you are not necessarily allowed to opt out of. I can opt out of using ChatGPT. I can opt out of using apps that integrate AI pieces into them. But there are things like flock cameras, which is this camera up here that's powered by a solar panel. And flock cameras track people's cars and their license plates all throughout city systems when cities opt into using this kind of technology. So Flock is supposed to it's supposed to make people feel safer. It's supposed to be used by the cops so that if this vehicle's marked stolen, oh, well, we see it on the Flock camera, we see it's on the street, we can go get it and charge whoever stole that car. But a lot of people feel like they're in a mass surveillance state and they don't want to be tracked everywhere they go. If I'm not doing anything wrong, why do I have to be tracked at the grocery store and you know I'm at the Target and you know I'm home and you know where I live? And there have been cases of police officers using this in a not great way and stalking potential love interests, and because you park your car outside of your house, they know where you live. There's always the option that somebody can take advantage of a system like Flock. And then visiting the doctor is a new one. There is an option to opt out of this, but when I was personally at the doctor, there was a little sign in the room that said, your appointment might be recorded by AI to better create a transcript to put into your medical chart. Now, when I was at the doctor, there was a sign that said, if you don't want to use this, let your physician know. But if I wasn't paying attention and I didn't see that sign, I maybe, would be recorded and have no idea. And that was in Sioux Falls at Avera Hospital. But they are using it in Atlanta, in Florida, lots of hospitals are adopting this. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think if doctors can spend more time with patients and less time charting at the computer, that might be great. But if you have a doctor who just takes the transcript and sends it into your chart and doesn't read it beforehand, there is the opportunity for that AI to make a mistake, and then that mistake is in your chart. So I really think the big part of AI avoidance is protecting your ability to opt out. Like I said, at the doctor, there's that sign, I could opt out. I can't opt out of Flock if it's in my city. They track me everywhere and I don't really have a choice, because you can't cover your license plate because that's illegal. So I think when we talk about AI, there should just always be the option that I don't want to participate in that. That's just what I think though. Possible solutions, I think there are different cooling methods that we can use in the data centers so that they're not consuming so much of our clean water. They can use cool air to kind of cool everything down. Now, I don't know that cool air works as well as the cold water, but they could probably do some kind of hybrid cool air and cool water. We're still using the water, but maybe we're using less. Because when they do use the water, 80% of that water heats up and evaporates. And so only 20% of that water is left. So maybe if we can just reduce the amount that we're starting with, that could limit the effects of AI on our environment. Now you can always limit your personal use of AI. I try not to use it. Sometimes, AI's on TikTok. Sometimes I'll accidentally click the button and it's like, oh, what do you want? And I'm like, ugh, I didn't mean to do that. But I can personally choose to avoid it as much as possible. But I don't know how effective that is when I can only control me. I can't control Dr. Luter's or somebody else's use of AI. And I also can't control what companies decide to put AI where. It might be there and I don't even know it. And then I also think there should be laws limiting the power of AI. I don't think I should be able to take a picture of whoever I want and create a false image. I think there needs to be laws around that, especially because there are people who have used those capabilities to create child pornography, which obviously they're probably going to jail for that because that's illegal. And gross. But there should be something in place to stop them from doing that before it even starts. They shouldn't be able to create that kind of material. So these are possible solutions to the AI kind of crisis as of it. That's all I've got. Do you have any questions?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry for coughing so much.